Felix Almanzar. What's the deal? King Math. Don Bishop. Hours before you leave the justice, we'll see. You know, I pulled the Zab Judah. I pulled the Zab Judah this morning and got up early. Got up maybe a little bit earlier than I should have. Judah TV. What's the sounds? Did you get a chance to check the? Did you get a chance to check the video from the Bilal Muhammad and the Andrews guy? Yeah, I was just, I actually was going to cue it up and you know, watch at least the beginning part. You know what I'm saying? Like the first, like 20 or 30 minutes, they kind of just listing the history as they have it. You know what I'm saying? And then they start going off into, uh, you know, other possibilities with they, other possibilities with they what's in it. Yeah, I'm live on City Sciences too. Yeah, it's a little, get some stuff over there. But I got to start doing some topics over there. Some things that uh, it's not necessarily for this channel right here. But interesting nonetheless. You know what I'm saying? Because you know we deal with all worlds from highest to lowest. You know what I'm saying? But uh, you know the way we deal with all worlds from highest to lowest is not the same. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some ciphers, right, that you wanna you wanna immerse yourself in. And there's other ciphers, right, that you wanna avoid, right? Whether you go around it or whether you go over it, some ciphers you wanna avoid. You know what I'm saying? Like it's okay to know that it exists. You know what I'm saying? But it's certain things like, say if you got uh babies, right? You know that uh there's a lot of things out here in the world that they're gonna be exposed to, right? But it's some things you didn't learn that here. You said, wait, Judah TV, you wanted me? No, I saw it already. But yeah, I gave that warning yesterday where it's like, yeah, if you got a weak stomach, or you know that you're prone to get emotional. You know what I'm saying? If King Matt, can you tell Infinite I'm on again? I guess this is a weekly thing now. I guess this is gonna be every week now, King Matt. Can you do me that favor? Tell him that I'm presently on the live stream. See what happens. Knock my camera out. What's happening? Am I even moving? Oh, this is wait. Let me. Yeah, I should just left it frozen. But the Sean Bigger, the Sean Bigger one you saying is it's got some things in there I might not expect. You talking about the one that I said I was gonna watch uh, about how he said his journey to getting the knowledge. You know, it keeps happening over here with my camera. Why is understanding? Yeah, right, that one. So I mean, give me a quick. Where would you say things start to go left? You said people don't want to put down the cross. I mean, things is for everybody. It takes a you know it takes a different time for everybody to come to full realization. See me, like that was something I had already. I was done with the cross before I came here. He said in the middle, but I'm saying like, what is like, how he got the knowledge, the people he was exposed to, you know, uh, what happens in the middle that you would say is, yeah, this is a little bit not what I expected. He said he's been at the school since the fire. Hey, look, Don Bishop, I was avoiding that topic. People probably not gonna like. people probably not gonna like what I got to say about it. I don't know if if we go on that topic, then we have to go ahead and say our farewells on the channel. Did you say he said he's been at the school since the fire? Well, what did he say his name is? I mean, because I recall him being on when he was on the barbershop show, the show with Math on it. I remember him talking to uh, the brothers in boot camp and talking about how he was younger than them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm I think they're like a year or two younger than me. I'm not sure, but just saying that, So, uh, I mean, that's gonna put him like 11, 12, 13 at the time. Uh, at the time of like when he say since the fire, I'm thinking you're not there. During the fire, you're talking about from the time we start building it back. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I would think that I would know. You know what I'm saying? And then you say since the fire, so it would have to be since. You're not saying I was there after the fire. You see what I'm saying? Since means all the time from the fire up to the present. So, I don't know. Like I said, then again, look, if he was that age, right, 11, 12, 13, then yeah, he might have changed a lot. He might have changed a lot since then. He said one name, he said Savior and Saeed. Arabi. Yeah, I was just telling the people I pulled this out Judah and got up too quick. I got up too early this morning. So yeah, I'm not as hype as I was yesterday, definitely. At least not to start out with. But yeah, I can't think, CERN love from the neighborhood. Missed us by that much. Now, speaking of that, I was over there today. Observing all the surroundings. Yeah, but Don Bishop, that was it'd be a lot of hot topics. You know what I'm saying? I'd be avoiding them for a couple different reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like I'd rather just stay in my lane, right, of the things that I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? Like you start talking about, all this politics and all this other stuff, it starts changing. And, you changing now, you mixing. See, then you get a whole bunch of people that think that's what I'm doing. That's it. Like that's not what I'm doing. And then, like I said, a lot of times, what I got to say about it, people ain't gonna like it. That particular situation for me, it's just white on white crime. Nothing to see here. Look, if it was the hood, right? If it was the hood and somebody 22, right? They hit up somebody that was 36. What would they say? Those damn YNs. it just, it just, it's those damn YNs. That's how you do. With all these different things. Because what I'm saying is that to me, you know, is when you overcomplicate it, right? It's like you can't believe that it could be white on white crime. Like there's got to be this grand conspiracy if it's white on white crime. Oh yeah, you. Hey, listen, you already know if you was a essential worker during the pandemic, you already know what type of time you on. I gotta get my apparatus. It's much better. But hold on, let me get back to what's the name. So man, I guess man, today, let's go ahead. We could just start off with the questions today. Because like I said, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna queue up one of the videos. One of the videos about one of the videos here about the history of FAR. They got some about the history of the NOI. For whatever reason, there's been some kind of revival. 793rd. I remember a couple of years ago, you had like Omar Shabazz and Paul Guthrie. You know what I'm saying? Like every couple of years, there's some kind of like a push to like some type of surge of people that is interested in researching the history of the NOI. So tomorrow we'll look at maybe 20 or 30, the first 20 to 30 minutes of it. You know what I'm saying? See if people learn anything new. The Iron Sheik video about Fat Joe. Yeah, I thought that was one of the most refreshing videos that I saw. You know what I'm saying? You see, like I said, for a lot of people, right, they got kind of confirmation bias about the guys. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like you got people that never went to college, right? So they like, yeah, the guys be doing this and be doing that. Yeah, that's because you was in those worlds. Alam Khan, I think I saw this one too. The fraud video that you're talking about by Alam Khan. I can't recall which one, because I watched a couple of them. Is that the one? Uh, they got one that starts. Have you seen, or is that might be one on the history of the Nation of Islam though? Could be. I'm not sure, but it starts with Booker T. Washington. Like it talks about how kind of the lineage of the idea. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you ever kind of heard that concept in general, right? That you kind of had you had two kind of ideas about civil rights in the 1890s and the early 1900s. You know what I'm saying? So you had the kind of the talented 10th approach. Peace Medina, what's going on? You had the talented 10th approach where uh, you was gonna have these elite black people that was gonna kind of pull the masses with them, and then you had the Booker T. Washington, do for self, where the masses, had to, you know, uh, mutually aid each other to the top. You know what I'm saying? And pretty much build their own society. Because I mean, I guess at some point, integration was the plan for both of them. You know what I'm saying? But one's, you know, W.E.B. Du Bois, he had more of the idea that we're going to do this through elitism. You know what I'm saying? And Booker T. Washington, he had a more of an idea that born, what's the deal? He had more of an idea of doing for self and building our own society to where the integration would take place because of societies being able to respect each other. So uh, Elijah Muhammad is in that, in the way those ideas develop, right? uh, different people push those ideas forward. You know what I'm saying? So Elijah Muhammad, with the businesses and the papers and all of this stuff, he's a part of the Booker T. Washington mindset, true self. All right, so self out. You know what self out build? That's what we was just talking about. I was asking. Julie TV if he saw it. So you saw the video uh, about Fard with Morrow, Andrew, it's Andrew Morrow, right? And Bilal Muhammad. So what did you think of it? What did you think of it? I mean, did you think it was controversial? You know what I'm saying? Did you think it was like, pretty standard? Did you think it was pretty standard for, pretty standard information that you hear all the time? You said, is that the one that said Fard was seeing Elijah in the 1970s or 60s? Uh, I don't think so. They don't give that in most of the videos that you see in most of the studies. They don't give that. They don't give a lot of weight to that claim. You're talking about the guy that's in the picture with Muhammad Ali's Muhammad Ali's ex-wife. Most of the uh, stuff that I've seen about him is he wasn't in Detroit in 1930. So he said a lot was pretty standard. However, the Mexico connection and the psycho doctor part was new. Listen, that I did you know, plus I wasn't feeling all the snickering and jeering. They also referenced Wakil Muhammad and Michael Muhammad Knight. Yeah, I mean, look, I would have to say, but look, that was one of the reasons why I was saying that if you're gonna get you gotta have a strong stomach to watch it. You know what I'm saying? Like you see what I'm saying now in terms of people that is emotional, they can get triggered. Justice Physical is June June 8th, maybe June 10th. This is the first week in June. I'm gonna get that. Like, stay on me about that. That's because I'm actually upset with myself. I'm actually upset with myself that I don't recall exactly right now. But it's the first week in June. Really say June 8th. You said others as authorities, which was a reminder that people use variant sources that may be incorrect. I mean, yeah, definitely that. Some of the sources that I seen, uh, you know, and then it's like, see from the jump, right? From the jump, you already got variant accounts, you know, just from, Elijah's family alone. You know what I mean? So, and then, with a lot of this stuff, in terms of how long ago it's happened, it's a matter of, whose account you believe. You know what I'm saying? According to Warith Muhammad, right? Uh, Clara and Elijah different uh, had different accounts. But I find stuff like that interesting. You said June 24th. 1927. Who's that? 704 Joe. Let's see, get back to us. But I was saying that we check it here on the channel. You know what I mean? Give it a little review, see what they got to say. I mean, at the end of the day, uh, you know, like how much new information they gonna come out with now? You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of this stuff is just like you got all the same information, right? But you got different people that's analyzing it, and so uh, the weight that's given to certain evidence, you know what I'm saying, as well as the kind of the conclusion, the story that people come up with to string all the different evidence together, is unique to each person, but the facts is not going to change. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, when they referring to the evidence that they use, you using all the same FBI files, the uh, the police records and all of that, the law enforcement records, the immigration records. You know what I'm saying? All these various things is pretty much always the same. So it's just a matter of the person make a different interpretation. You know what I'm saying? And so like Self-Out Bill was saying, as far as the snickering and stuff like that, that uh, for the most part, a lot of these people is going to be starting, they starting point of 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 writing the book, right? Or not even say of writing the book, but they starting point of they start an approach is that this stuff is not true. Kasib Shah. Ah, Luke Cage. Just dealing with the bands. I'm bringing back the last of the. This is the last of the mobility in my shoulder and my neck right here. I'm bringing back. See, like I can't get this left shoulder to roll over backwards like that. I don't get much better. Yeah, but just in general, we just had the ghost visuals. We just had the floor open for questions today, because I was telling people I pulled a Zab Judah and got up too early. So I ain't get a chance, right now. Right now I'm feeling already tired. I ain't get a chance to set it up, but we're gonna check out some of the different videos that I've been seeing that's been coming out in the last couple of months, right? About the history of Fuad, Elijah, and the Nation of Islam. Shaquem, what's the deal? Can you shoot a music video? Uh, I mean, can you send me can you send me like some uh example of your work? Intelligent warriors. So what is intelligent warrior? How you come up with that handle? Bill said they seemed surprised when it was the black man as the original man. Goes to show they aren't doing any real research. A bit of digging would demonstrate that they was just selling a book. Yeah, there was some things you're right about that in terms of they didn't point out enough things that Elijah was correct about. So look, Ghost Visuals, when the video is over, leave a comment so that I can remember to go check your page for these videos, right? Uh, yeah, you're right about that, right? That they did go to point. They made a point to speak on things like the mothership and things that is not corroborated outside. Is not corroborated outside of Elijah's teachings. You know, without pointing out some of the things that uh, Elijah turned out to be right about. Right. So you said always fighting the righteous fight. So what's the righteous fight? And another thing is like when they was presenting, like when they presented the almanac to say that this is where Elijah Muhammad got the actual facts, right? You presenting it as if Elijah Muhammad was supposed to have been, uh, blessed by some angel in a cave or something with this knowledge, and like, he didn't say from the jump that he had to study that knowledge. I didn't really, that was something. Yeah, it was a couple little things, right? That if they would have put in there, it would have given it some context. The chill when you say that you was always fighting the righteous fight. What's the righteous fight? See, there's parts in the Bible where it speaks about God will come and measure the mountains and the waters. I mean, that's in the Bible though. That's not, that's not in the Nation of Islam. Now, I can't see how, in terms of uh, the people that was around in 1930, right? Uh, that Fuad is presenting his knowledge to, right? Remember, at first he's teaching out the Bible, right? Before he starts calling it the poison book, he's teaching out the Bible, You see what I'm saying? So I can see how that may have affected the people that was around, at that time. You know what I'm saying? Because they have that image in their mind. So you said we measured every square inch. Jay Electronica 4 new albums. No, I didn't hear Jay Electronica 4 new albums. Is that what? Because I seen some other shit that's crazy shit. Somebody was talking, and it was in reference. So I thought it was saying that Jay Electronica had 4 new albums that he was planning. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, where you know, he tried to put it, it almost seemed like since the time when you was supposed to drop that album, you were supposed to put out 4 albums at the least in that time. So, so Intelligent Warrior says, shaming the devil with the truth. Okay, so who's the devil? Who's the devil that you shaming with the truth? You said a devil is anyone that does evil. I mean, can you name like what's, do you have any examples that you might can point to? Because look, see, it's no mystery God, it's no mystery devil either. Ain't no mystery angels, ain't no mystery demons. So who you talking about? So I learned Fard was teaching out the Jehovah Witness book called Deliverance 2. I mean, that was actually, that's not the first, that wasn't my first rodeo hearing that. Divine understanding. I'm gonna tell you what I did know though. All the time, I never knew. I never knew. I never knew Noble Drew Ali was in prison. I mean, he was in Newark. So that's shout out to Newark. Yeah, Noble Drew Ali, he was from Newark. Right? Yeah, I never knew he was in prison before he started the Morris Science Temple. Yeah, Divine Understand. That's what we was talking about, the FAR video. I was gonna cover it today, but I didn't get a chance to cue it up. But we was gonna watch maybe the first, 20, 30 minutes of it or whatever and see what we think. But what did you think about it in terms of, or so far, is it pretty much, conventional information that you already know? Is it controversial stuff? What do you think about the parts of it that you saw so far? To me, I still wonder that. That's to me was the thing. You said they basically said Ford loves snow bunnies. They did say that. Hey, look, that was a little grimy coincidence to put in there, right? They said Ford never, there's no evidence of Ford ever being with a black woman. That all the women that is known to associate with the different person or persons out there who have been identified as Farad, that they all snow bunnies. You said a number of intelligent individuals that came among us advocating unalike teaching. Okay, this is getting interesting. Intelligent warriors. So, being that you don't want to name names, right? Can you name some of these uh, unalike teachings being advocated? So most of the information I already knew or have heard in some context, yet the snickering and extra giggles was. Hey, listen, Self-Five Bill said the same exact thing. Look, he even used the term snickering. I ain't gonna front. Look, I couldn't understand. Look, I'm gonna tell you where they were playing too much. I'm gonna tell you where I agree that they was playing too much. But Ghost Visuals, this is a video by a dude named Dr. Andrew Morrow and a dude named Bilal Muhammad, and it's about a book or books that they've written, on Freud. But I couldn't figure out whether they was playing or not when the dude was saying that he's a white member of the NOI. I couldn't understand. he kept saying, he kept saying, or kind of hinting. He kept kind of hinting that he was a white member of the NOI, and then it's like I'm thinking he playing, but then at the same time he got like how people got they bookshelf back here, and then he got the most prominent book you can see is the Supreme Wisdom. So I'm saying like, yo, is this motherfucker playing with me, man? Like, this type of shit, man. You see, if you playing, man, we gonna have to fight. Like you said, I thought Fat Joe was Zulu Nation, and I mean, I don't know that much about Zulu Nation business. You know what I'm saying? You know, I didn't hear the Zulu Nation say that. I know him being a 5% is a falsehood. Right, the Mexico thing. Like I think I might have heard that. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? I think I might have heard it though. I might have heard it through the story from Farrakhan. I don't know if I directly heard that Far went to Mexico, but I have heard some things about there, but I can't even put my finger on it. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I did. Uh, the Bilal Muhammad dude was a little more serious. You know what I'm saying? And he did point out. He was a little quicker to point out than uh, than the moral guy. Uh, a lot of the positive things that he did accomplish. You know what I'm saying? In terms of improving the literacy amongst the people and, opening up the schools and all those types of things, the University of Islam and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas, yeah, the moral guy, he did. And I mean, look, I know, look, I know if they see this, but bro, you walked into it. You know what I'm saying? It's clear that the colored man had less respect. he, that was clear. And he did chop it up. What did he say? He said in the black man body, I think he said it's a brown germ and a white germ. He chopped a couple things up when they was trying to go through the science. But like I said, when they was going into that was a little bit more like if your book is about uh, who Fard is and where he came from and where he went and all of that, but then you start, you switching in and out between, what the teachings is about. He said, did you right, yeah, they were saying probably and it's a possibility a lot. Right now, that was something that we was also talking about. Well, that was one of the things that another thing that adds on to the point that I was making is that they not really finding new information. You know what I'm saying? It's the same information, and then them their investigation is giving weight and taking weight away from different evidence that already was found. You know what I'm saying? And then, they analyzing that and coming up, concluding with a story that strings together the evidence, you know what I'm saying, that they've given the weight to, but at the end of the day, you still know the same shit they knew. He said a fake John Candy licking cat was all chuckles even during the explanation of the castration of the original men. Yeah, I mean, that's the one that I'm talking about. That when he kept saying that he was white and wide, I couldn't figure out. I couldn't figure out if he was playing or if he was serious. But that's bugged how they was able to do that though too. That just shows you. It goes to show you how propaganda works. You know what I'm saying? Like through living in the time, you know what I'm saying, of seeing, people like Michael Muhammad Knight. That's another point that Self Bill was making, was like, when they go through they sources, who's supposed to be their authoritative sources, and you got, Michael Muhammad Knight and Wakil and these type of people, and I mean, this is not even uh, taking away from or adding on to their research, to their scholarship, but it's just saying how, uh, at least through the media and the marketing, right? They're uh, they made themselves authorities on the nation. I guess there was an article in the newspaper up here, right? And for whatever reason, they had a question, right? They, was some question they had about the 5%, and so they contacted Michael Muhammad Knight. And in the article, he was like, "Well, why you asking me for it?" they up there, go ask them. Eventually he gave them an answer, but just saying that, he's elevated himself to where they trying to contact him in a whole different state to ask about us. That's right there, with this local paper. Yeah, Michael Muhammad Knight, I mean, at this point, he's built his career, he's built his career over between us, and the NOI. Michael Muhammad Knight, see, I never dealt with him, those visuals. But yeah, Michael Muhammad Knight, right? You said a while ago someone came back around after many years and said he created supreme mathematics. People advocate in sovereign nation. I mean, you might have to use some names here. Somebody came back around after many years and said he created supreme mathematics. Who might that be? But yeah, Michael Muhammad Knight. I mean, well, let me not even go into, because that gets a little bit more into. You said others waiting for. Yeah, yeah. Michael Muhammad Knight wrote a book about the nation, but see, I think it's also important. See, like what this brother here said, that his name was Azriel Wisdom, and all of this is that you know how like you might be watching Discovery Channel or something, right? And you see it'd be a sociologist, right? And he'll go and live with a tribe of people. And while he's there with the tribe of people, right, he may go through some of their, rituals. You know what I'm saying? They may wear the clothes, you know what I'm saying, of the people, eat the food of the people, you know what I'm saying? But it's really just to study them for some other, academic purpose, you know what I'm saying? And see that part. See what I'm saying? That, he comes around speaking all this nonsense, you know what I'm saying? And people just ate it up. But, uh, really, it was just something like, like now he's writing all these books, because you've experienced all these various, you done been in all these places and studied day Islam. You understand what I'm saying? It's just a academic endeavor, and that's why you saying like people saying they don't deal with it no more. It's like, yeah, see all types of stuff. Now that you find out all this other stuff, you see what I'm saying? And in his books, I never read them, but a lot of the stuff that uh, I heard about the book, a lot of the stuff that people was talking about, it was like he he did, you know, he recorded some history, right? But he also distorted a lot of history. See, there was people in the book that their history was either not put in there or diminished, or there were certain people that, you know, you put a couple of events that happened, right, in the decades that they had the knowledge, and it made them look a certain way when that wasn't really the whole picture. You know what I'm saying? Then you have people who, you know, they didn't play that kind of role like that, but either them or they people, right, was the main person that that was cooperating with him with writing the book. So their story got put in there in detail, and then they got, elevated into, you know, uh, kind of an exaggerated role in their history in the nation. I don't know what that is about. Why every white person that get the knowledge think they Azriel. I've never understood why every white person that come, once they find out about Azriel, they think they Azriel. But he was one of them people that I used to see him, and I used to avoid him. But now that's what he does. He goes, like, if you look on the internet, you see him giving lectures about us. You know what I'm saying? Literally, you know, uh, we probably was a college project for him that turned into a career. But intelligent warriors. Yeah, we need some paperwork, son. we need some paperwork or something. We need a man of high characters. We need a man of high characters word on some of these accusations that you're making against people that you're being a warrior against. You said Azriel is the entry point for Caucasians in the nation. I don't know why they think that. I mean, I can understand, right, from the standpoint, how, usually hear white men, right? This is supposed to not be a thing in the white man's world, but I can understand in terms of, representation. You know what I'm saying? Like when you talk about representation, you know, like them, when they find out that, nah, it was white man, it was white man with us from the beginning. And nah, we not finessing it to get you in. From the days of the founder, right? There was white people. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's supposed to be. That's the purview of the minorities, right? That you want to see yourself represented. In this whatever it is you're dealing with. If you watching TV or you watching the movies or whatever, or you out there, living your life. You understand? Because see, you know, Azriel is not a token white. That's the thing. Yeah, I met Azriel. That's what I'm saying. He's not a token white. You know, there's that part that you're not Azriel. I met Azriel. that I used to maintain with Azriel. He came back around, you know what I'm saying? Like he was going for a minute, but he came back around and you know, he that's what he was doing. He's maintaining with the brothers. His niece be coming by. He said they just see themselves in him. If they haven't done what he's done, then I don't know why. Just be that's what I'm saying. They not gonna be as real. Like that's what I'm saying. Even if you saying that, okay, you see that representation there, right? You see that representation, right? That's like, look, if you see, let's say you was black in the 1940s, right? And so Joe Louis is one of, this is a representation of black people, and he's out there and he's beating white men down, right? That don't mean for you to go outside and just start swinging on white people and thinking it's That's good that you got that representation. But you know, don't get it twisted. I gotta take this over here now. There's a brother named Wisdom God a lot. He knows lessons. So you said it's well documented. YouTube holds the receipts. You've been around just as long, as not longer than myself. These are some of the same ones you helped defend our teaching against. I mean, yeah, I remember when I was a teenager getting knowledge of self, I was watching Azrael's documentary by Khalid Allah around those times. Azrael was living in Jersey before he returned. You know, uh, yeah, all those things. But I mean, the receipts and all that. I'm not that good of a YouTuber, so I'm not into the receipts and all that. I'm not, I'm not that good of a YouTuber yet. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that good of a YouTuber yet. So I'm just saying, you know, uh, one of the ways that I wanted to go through that, right, is, because you got a lot of people that say all that stuff, right? Intelligent warriors and all this stuff. Let me tell you something. The first person you gotta be a warrior against the devil and shaming is your own self. See, I was going to see if we was ever going to get, if we was ever going to start from there. See, that's where we got to start from there. To make devil, what must one first do? So then, to destroy devil, what must one first do? You got to begin with the original man. See, all those is ideas from searching for the mystery guide for trillions of years to unlike attract, a like repel. So, you know, these intelligent warriors, see if you're intelligent, right? You know, see, even, like we, when we in the boxing class and we tell people, see, the fighters won in the gym. You see what I'm saying? Where you got to remain mentally disciplined, right? To show up sharp and in shape. So you can't go taking the devil off of everybody else planet. You know what I'm saying? And you still got the devil on your planet. Listen, I don't care who he know. I'm asking you if he knows lessons. I don't care. And listen, you're gonna have to be on point. You're gonna have to be on point with that name. Yeah, Azriel niece. Yeah, she's still around. So listen, so But yeah, I was there when she came back. You know what I'm saying? And she was telling us, updating us, at least from her aspect, how the family has been going. Yeah, but what's your name again? Righteous Warriors. From the second I saw your name, you know what I'm saying? That's what I was wondering about. You see what I mean? Cause see, you get caught up, right? See, one thing you see with that righteous war, you see how people have gotten caught up in that. You know, when you when you ain't drawing that up the same way you drawing up the knowledge at a cipher degree in 1 and 14. See, next thing you can end up killing your own kind because of jihad. You see what I'm saying? Now the word is used in reference to uh, you know, Islam and battling back and forth with their various foes over in the Middle East. You know what I'm saying? But listen, even when you hear gangbangers talk, right? What do they say they believe in that? They saying that look, they putting in all that pain for their beliefs. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, when your concept, right, of intelligent war or righteous war or you know what I'm saying, holy war or these things, right, is that we gotta attack other people, right, for the things that they thinking and saying, right, then you can get caught up in that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that, a motherfucker put their hands on you. I'm the Lord Christ, not Jesus Christ. Right? But when we just walking outside with that, what's your name, with that concept, see what I'm saying? Just like you say, if I'm defending, if I'm defending us to from whoever's these people, right? All right, what tools am I using? You see what I'm saying? You know, and am I combating them by, you know what I'm saying, yeah, I'm gonna go outside the mall and fight that person. I could do it like that, right? Or I could say, I'm gonna teach the truth and show and prove it. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, just keep in mind, right, that that's our concept, right? It don't say, uh, we're gonna take the devils in the hells, right, with guns and knives. It say we gonna fast and pray, right? And we gonna get peace and happiness. Like I said, I'm not delusioned, right? I'm not delusioned into thinking that it's not, steps and stages, and some of them steps and stages might don't be pretty, but this is not the primary tool. Guns and knives is not the primary tool that I'm gonna be using to take the devil off the planet. You're 100% right. Exactly. The first person you have to civilize is yourself. So, without question, you have to keep the devil off your planet. The fight always starts with self. I lose no time searching. Indeed, lose no time searching for those individuals. However, when they come among us, all I have is fire and ice. I mean, what's going on? I'm getting all these alerts over here. You know what I'm saying? But it do have to be people. You know what I'm saying? It's everybody got they different things. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, you know, 360 degrees. You know what I'm saying? That's all directions, right? Person can be going that direction. Person can be going that direction, but they're part of the same cycle. You know what I mean? So some people concern themselves with that. You know what I'm saying? But uh, just in general, right? Just even historically, we didn't go the Black Panther route. We didn't go, uh, the various, militant groups that was popping up all at or around that same time that the nation was being founded. You know what I'm saying? And believe it or not, a lot of those people, they they saw us as it's like soft, like we not revolutionary. But see, one of the things is that, you know, we we we, our goal is to teach children. So listen, we don't believe in nonviolence, right? We not nonviolence. We not advocators of nonviolence, right? We advocate self-defense. You know what I'm saying? So we'll deal with that. But you know, see, once that's your thing, you understand what I'm saying? That's a like look, see what I said, man, fasting and praying to achieve peace and happiness, right? Is different from Armageddon. You know what I'm saying? It's different. See, Julia TV, you don't have to kick them when they down. You see, you see, you see how black people is. If you're not in America right now, this is a good. If you somewhere around the world and you think about coming to America, this is kind of way how black people live, right? this is this is the this is the shit that they be talking about, man. See, right now you like that guy. You like that guy that's investigating the Knicks right now about the salary stuff. We already got Mike Brown as our coach. How much more? Come on, man. You ain't got to kick us when we down, man. You ain't got to kick us. He said this is Power Bill from where? Just remind me of these two brothers They should know out in Trenton. Power, power God and power of love. And this has been a great. This has been a great. I don't know. This is a great mobility session. It's getting my neck so it's the last of the cobwebs right here. It's the last of the cobwebs. I can't turn my neck this fast like that last year. Land of peace. So wait a minute. That's Patterson. Land of truth is Trenton. But yeah, I used to be out there in Patterson, uh, understanding and supreme. The laws. Uh, no, I don't think these brothers was wise intelligence physically. I don't think that power guy was related. I mean, he could have possibly been. I ain't know that deep into his family cycle like that. So look, I got one request. I got one request, brother. We've been waiting. We wait for somebody. Look, can you come get King Son? They come get your brother. we, 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 we don't know. We don't know what's going on with him. Can you come get your brother? We waiting for somebody. We waiting for somebody from there. You said, I know you from Born Everlasting or La Shasha. That's peace. But can you come? Can you come get your brother? Can you, yeah, we. See whatever. Yeah, you gotta bring him a glass of water from out there with the antidote in it or something. He he he. The world ain't ready. But yeah, I gotta see a lot of shot. You know, he had what his time. I said, no, look, I'm sitting over here. The last shot comes over. He get Doc move over and say, man, sit right here. Still going through some signs from every blue moon. It's like if a lot of shots shot be in the crib, they go, you know something? I forgot to tell Doc that I seen him. So, as soon as I see a lot of shots shot, listen, the last shot take me all the way back to Ellesmere, son. All the way back to Ellesmere. Listen, all the way up to the present. Shit, me and last shot was maintained at the rally. Supreme man, what's the deal? Not much. We was just taking it easy today. This is a little lightweight session. You know what I mean? Tomorrow we're gonna be prepared though. Uh, we found some videos, some recent videos of people that have written books or did whatever research into he said the fresh three MCs is from Patterson. No, they're not. You talking about fresh three MCs? But yeah, we found some recent videos of people doing their research on far, who he is, where he came from, where he went, and all of that. So we was going to check it out. I already checked it out, but it's one of the things where they didn't really come up with that much new. Like I would say, probably the most new things that they did is they was able to contact the the family of the woman, that they said he had a son with, and I don't know how they determined it because they don't have Far's DNA, but whatever they did, they said they determined that that person is not really wasn't really related to Far. Yeah, but see, this is what I'm talking about. See this. See, y'all gotta watch Supreme Man. Look, it's when football season comes around, he turns rapid. He turns when football season he comes around. He turns Bill Belichick. You always say, hey, look, he's Bill Belichick. This is little league, man. Kids are 12 years old, man. Start calling you Coach Prime in the knowledge body. That's your new name. He's coaching little league, man. That's what I'm saying. He's coaching. This is not even varsity. He said we want to go. We want to go unscored on for the year. The Legion of Boom. these poor other kids in this league. These poor other kids in this league. They don't know they're playing against Coach Prime and Knowledge Body and his soldiers. They think they come in. You got these poor soccer moms thinking they just bringing these kids to have fun, and he's bringing in these cats to smash them. See this type of goal, we want to go unscored on for the year. What little league kids come up with a plan like that? that's how you can tell it. What little league kids is thinking that? See, we know that's really your plan. That's how we know. Sharon Love said I played for the Bronx Saints in '87. We won a championship. Y'all remember the Saints? Supreme Man said, far as history will always have holes in it. The proof of his existence is Elijah and the members of the NOI who were there. There are stories out there. Indeed. What about the, did you get a chance to see the video? Iron Sheik made a video uh, addressing the Fat Joe comment, and he, well, it's one long video and it's cut into segments. So he got a segment about the comment from Fat Joe, and he got a segment about how he got the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was. See this? What I'm saying? This is the crushing dreams. Coach Prime in the knowledge body, crushing dreams. We put out another quarterback. What is wrong with you, man? What's wrong with you, man? See, this is why professional athletes be saying they don't want their kids to play. Yeah, yeah. Dudes like Emmitt Smith will be like, nah. See what it is. See, dudes like Emmitt Smith, they played with dudes like Supreme Man in college. See, they know who's out there. They know. They see. They know the kind of mentality that's out there. They, nah, I think not. He said, I seen about 75% of it. The ironic thing about it is he had on a Jesus piece, and Love did teach him. look, uh, that was they was hitting him in the comments about it. You know what I'm saying? I at first didn't even notice it. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, people is just saying like maybe I'm not looking at the screen like I'm, listening or whatever, and I keep noticing people say the Jesus piece, and when I happen to look and it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But that was probably I mean, I don't know why he had that on, you know what I'm saying? And he might have said one or two other things that, you know what I'm saying, a little bit slightly inaccurate, you know what I'm saying? But all in all, what I liked was that he got across Allah's teachings. See, a lot of times if you're just talking about the lessons, that's far than Elijah's teachings. You know what I'm saying? When you're not really talking about, what we supposed to be doing with this knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Or none of the goals that Allah had and found in the nation. You see what I'm saying? Then yeah, you can have people doing all this willy-nilly stuff and it don't even dawn on people that it's like, okay, you might have seen people that was 5%ers that was doing that, right? But that they was going against the teachings when they was doing that. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't going according, right, to the mathematics that was laid down for the nation. I mean, listen, Supreme Man, there's there's an elite core. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times it's like I was saying to people yesterday, right? Is that you said fifth degree inspiration? Fifth degree inspiration for what? But what I was saying is that, you know, we all we all equal in potential, right? When we first get the knowledge, right? But see, how much of that potential we put into kinetic, you ain't gonna still be equal to me. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of these people, that's the situation. Is that even, the people that they was around, the environment that they was in and everything, for the seeds that was planted to really grow and develop, you know what I'm saying? To where, you know, and it's even that, you know, names didn't mean nothing back in the days. That means something now where, you say, yo, you was related to this person or that person. Like back in the days, nobody cared about that. Well, you got the names from them? Yeah, well, they're not here right now, so what you got to say? Right, he said teaching the babies came from the 5%. Oh, the fifth degree inspiration. Okay, now look. That's that. You saying that, uh, how could I say it? I would suspect that to be what he says, right? But here's the thing. That's not no original Jesus on that piece. If Jesus' teachings was not Christian, I'm just saying, in particular, he had the Jesus with the crown of thorns on. What that got to do with the power degree? See, remember, you got different Jesus that represent different things. You got the baby Jesus, right? You got the surfer Jesus. You got the beat down Jesus. Independent upon which religion you dealing with, you see one of them more than others. So a lot of cats get satisfied because in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. So the best knower there might be a student over here. Yeah, right. That's another thing that happened. You know what I'm saying? Is people go into those ciphers and it's like, you know, what we always was taught. You know what I'm saying? Is that either, you're gonna dominate that cipher or the cipher is gonna dominate you. You know what I'm saying? Dominate don't mean that, you don't have no input. So you might spread some lingo amongst these people or something. You know what I'm saying? But the actual culture, you know what I'm saying? Like how often does that come up? You know what I'm saying? Like if we get ready to go to the store, then we say, yo, God, I'm going to the store. You know what I'm saying? If somebody walk up, they might say, peace, God. Right? And then a couple minutes later, they say, yo, God, I'm going to the store. But nothing within the space of those phrases or those sentences had nothing to do with the Father. All the conversation, all the activity, you know what I'm saying, was about something else. Like, this only comes out at certain times. Like, if you go in the mic booth, then all of a sudden, you talking all this. But just if a person is with you in the course of the day, right? A person who's at 85%, they're not going to notice nothing. Like nothing is going to come up. If you around somebody, whatever it is, I'm saying, y'all might go to a restaurant, a person might work at your job. And then it might don't be until, one day y'all might, just happen to be in the same place, you know what I'm saying, when y'all went to lunch or whatever, and the person noticed that, you was like, nah, I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't eat this, I don't eat that, and then they going to ask you, yo, what's that about? Or if something comes up, where you just like, yeah, well, I don't pray, or, I don't, certain concepts, the idea or whatever. It's like, yeah, well, I'm not Christian. So, kind of, yes, let's leave that. You know what I'm saying? But just saying that there's a lot of concepts, right? That's those are Christian concepts. You know what I'm saying? Those are based on there being, a righteous but unseen being that exists everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Or is based that there being some type of paradise or hell after this. You know what I'm saying? Those various things. So if that concept comes up, or we just speaking in the midst of whatever, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say, oh, the person gonna say, like, yeah, nah, I don't never, I don't know that experience because I never do that. Why not? I'm 5%. You know what I'm saying? But there's nothing that is a part of your everyday that nobody would notice no difference between you and all the other 85s they be around. You know what I'm saying? And just ultimately, you just get to the point where you have to be qualified, right? You have to be healthy, strong, and good breeders, and also good at multiplying. And then you still have to live according to standards. You know what I'm saying? Whether you like those standards or not, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? We're not here to draw whether they're good or bad, but just saying that if there's death as a penalty, then that means you gotta live up to a certain standard to make the devil. So how you gonna build God? How you gonna build God, you know what I'm saying, any old kind of way? And the people who come from that concept, they always the ones that's wondering, like, yo, why this the guys, why that, why the guys ain't this, why the guys ain't that. It's because your head is still in the clouds. See, when you looking for something, if you looking for your keys, if you searching for your keys, you can't go no place. So people are searching for that does not exist. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about in the course of what you looking for in this nation. See what I'm saying? When you start even thinking from that concept, right? Yo, why the guys, why the guys, why the guys? I thought you was the guy. Or the people, yo, why we ain't, why we? Hey, what you mean we? Who the fuck is we? That's what ends up happening though, you know. But in this particular, instance, I think he did a great job, you know what I'm saying, at getting across, you know, why that wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? How that, that's just not even a concept that would have ever existed, you know what I'm saying, for, somebody to associate, you know, uh the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, criminal planet, Earth, father of civilization, and God of the. I don't know what just happened here. But that is a big thing. You know what I'm saying? Just like, a lot of people, even when, when they think about, okay, you just got 120 lessons there, you know, I'm not even gonna say go beyond that, but how do you keep elevating? If you think that you mastered all the science, right, by just uh, drawing up the lessons, you know, that's good. You drew it up, but even when you deal with that build degree, that's a cycle where it's drawing up, but it's never drawing up above 6 miles from the Earth's surface. Then it has to distill back down to the planet in the form of drops of water or drops of ice, right? Or we cease to exist. So now, yeah, you drew it up, you know what I'm saying? But, you could distill it back in the form of words, but can you distill it back in the form of actions? You see what I'm saying? Can you manifest it in the solid form or just only in the light, fluffy form? But uh, the world is just different. It's one of them things, man, where you know how, the older brothers used to always say that Allah said if you don't change, you're gonna die. See, we used to the world where, we're gonna see everybody, you probably got until 5 o'clock tomorrow. Before somebody, say, yo, it sounds with the God, man. We see the God. We see the God all day, man. you know, and everybody's right around here. We right around here. See now, a person is tuning in, for the internet. Like, look, even on this channel. You know what I mean? Shout out to the guy. We got the guy, Freedom, that he tunes in. He's in Vietnam. You know, but look, the world is changing for everybody. You know, it's not just the, you know, you know, nobody's in a vacuum or in a balloon. You know, but so, and that's another one of the reasons why I'm like, see, trying to, you know, get at everybody that's out there doing the wrong thing. See, now it's like whack-a-mole. You know what I'm saying? Because you got one person up in Alaska and you got one person down in Peru. So now the only thing you could do, right, is be a kind of shining example. You know what I'm saying? You yourself have to be, you know what I'm saying, the solid, right? That's manifested from this knowledge that you have. So then, you know, the people that's, you know, they shaky in the various ways, you know what I'm saying? You know, even the 85% can see that they shaky. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like right now, if you go to a doctor's office and it shows a, you know, certain signs you're gonna see. Like if you go to the doctor's office, right, and instead of him having the stethoscope, he just put his ear on your chest. Now, see, I haven't been to medical school, right? I haven't been to medical school, but that's never happened in all the other doctors that I haven't been to. You know, the real doctors with the degree up on their wall that look, the other doctors at the hospital know their name. See, I see them do it a certain way. You know how you go to your grandmother's house, right? And she do something, and you tell her, "Yeah, it's not the way mommy does it." Well, you want to start some trouble. You know, I don't know how that works out for the young brothers like you, King Math, but we tried that back in the days. you, you get you and your mama ass whipping like that. Said my mom used to do that to check my asthma. Hmm, interesting. Yeah, no, we gonna go ahead, you know what I'm saying, and wind this one down unless we have any other urgent matters, any other urgent matters to deal with tonight. Like I said, we're gonna you know, check out the videos, you know, maybe we'll check out a couple, you know what I mean? We'll check out an excerpt because like I said, there's some on Fraud, some on Elijah, some on um the Nation of Islam, and these ones is fairly new. Like I said, you know what I noticed is that every, you know, couple of years there's a how would you say, like a new round of interest, you know what I'm saying, in these topics. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, you know, exactly sure what maybe Is it possible? Was this the 60th anniversary of Malcolm X Malcolm X assassination? Malcolm X assassinated in 1965, right? Perhaps that's it. Maybe it's the, you know, uh, without getting too deep into what all that's about, but with the FBA thing, right? You got a lot of uh, you know, a lot of Elijah, a lot of Elijah Muhammad's teachings is starting to surface. You know what I'm saying, amongst other groups like the FBA. Like I was bugging out when I started hearing people call people Yakubians. So Yakubians, where you get that from? And I found out that yeah, they had a a documentary where they had the story of Yakub in there. You know what I'm saying? So maybe through them trying to combat that, who knows? You know what I'm saying? But either way, it's always interesting to me. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, sometimes you watch these things, it might be an hour, hour and a half, and it might only be one new thing that you that you get from it. You know what I'm saying? That you never heard before. Sometimes it's like that. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple of little things, like for instance, in this particular video, they said that Ford came here in 1909. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure they got some, whatever evidence for that. What is your thoughts on living longer than Malcolm Martin, Allah, and Medgar? Uh, I think the issue with that is that everybody you don't have a blueprint. You know what I'm saying? Even from the form of mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Meaning like, okay, the person, they made this many mistakes, or this is how things came out, decisions that they was making in their 30s and 40s came out like this in their 50s and 60s. Right? You don't really have, so, it's kind of a crash out mentality. You know what I'm saying? The same way you see in the street where it's like, if all of your heroes got themselves killed or locked up by the time they was 25, right? Then, you using them, as an example, as you have to, right? As them being people that existed before you and dealt with some of the same trials and tribulations that you dealt with before you, right? You got to look at it, but then it's like I'm saying, like if you looking at the success of, let's say, Martin and Malcolm, right? You know what I'm saying, and one of the things that they did was, in the way that they spoke, right? You know what I'm saying? In comparison, they was crashing out to be, uh, as relentless, what I'm saying, with articulating, uh, what and who the problem was. You know what I'm saying? You know, uh, Perhaps, if well, we could see that with both of them, you know what I'm saying? Right before they returned, you know what I'm saying, they was both going through some adjustments. You know what I'm saying? They was both coming to some realizations because, you know what I'm saying, we looking at it now, but or we was looking at it from the perspective of kids, but now looking at it now, you like, yeah, Martin Luther King, he started around, he's 28. You know what I'm saying? A lot start doing that when he's 36. You know what I'm saying? So these are still, you know, fairly young brothers that's making these decisions. You know what I'm saying? Not saying that the decisions were stupid, but just saying that we don't know how a lot of things would have came. You see what I'm saying? So if you just following in this blueprint, right, of this person that, you know, was assassinated, whether they got locked up, whatever it is, if your blueprint is a person that, you're gonna live longer than that blueprint, then what? You understand what I'm saying? So just in general, what I'm saying, like for me as an individual, I don't really be thinking about age like that, but in the big picture, I have always seen that. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember when you had a lot of labels talking about they the new death row, right? And at the time when they said it, it's like the new death row, like bro, everybody that was at death row is dead or in jail. Or been in jail, or you know what I'm saying? Like what and all the labels that was saying that end up getting indicted. You didn't pick a label that had longevity, you know what I'm saying? And all the people, you didn't say we the new Def Jam. Where I mean, you know, saying that nobody passed away over there, but for the most part, the label still exists. You know what I'm saying? Russell Simmons, Leon Cohen, Kevin Lyles, you know what I'm saying? All these people went on, you know what I'm saying, to continue to blossom. So now if you was gonna, take it the different examples of, what I'm saying, which blueprint, what I'm saying, I'm gonna use, what I'm saying, as a skeleton of doing my thing, right? You know, for me the wiser decision would be to follow the blueprint of Def Jam. But like I said, we're gonna fire up those. We're gonna fire up the video for tomorrow. You know what I mean? Battery winding down anyway. You know what I'm saying? So everybody that made it this far through the Each One Teach One, hit the like button. We had a couple of new people come in today. Hit subscribe, hit the notification so you can know when we come back on. In the meantime, between time, we'll sign off and say peace.